So Long Shakespeare is a comic mystery thriller which throws together the worlds of Shakespeare and Star Wars. It's set in the near future and it tells the story of a Hollywood filmmaker who's created an extraordinarily successful science fiction saga, but who harbours one unfulfilled ambition: to win an Oscar. In his desperation to achieve this dream, he uses an amazing breakthrough in genetic technology to inspire himself with the genius of William Shakespeare. But unfortunately, the screenplay he then creates is so unbelievably bad, it can mean only one thing: that he's inadvertently proven the age-old theory that William Shakespeare of Stratford didn't write the plays and poems we know as his. Not to be deterred, Joe gets entangled with a group of eccentric British authorship experts who help him discover who the real author of Shakespeare's plays was. But of course, not everything is quite as it seems. The idea for So Long Shakespeare first occurred to me about 10 years ago when I was working at the Globe Theatre. The artistic director at the time was Mark Rylance, who's not only one of the best Shakespearean actors of his generation, but he's also a very vocal advocate of the idea that the man from Stratford we know as William Shakespeare had nothing to do with the plays which we know as Shakespeare's. And I became fascinated seeing how Mark's ideas mingled with those of the Shakespearean or Stratfordian establishment. Why do people on all sides of the debate care so passionately about who wrote these amazing plays? Is it simply a case of wanting the truth to be told or justice to be done, or is there something more? What's going on beneath the surface? And it occurred to me that it might be fun to imagine a world in which the truth were known at last and Shakespeare's claim were definitively disproven and another author was installed in his place. And that meant two things. That meant I needed a story in the near future, and it also meant that I needed to bring Shakespeare back from the dead, and along with him, all his fellow authorship candidates. And that put me in mind of that perennial Shakespearean debate: what would Shakespeare be doing were he alive today? And I've always believed that he wouldn't be writing plays for theatres and audiences in the hundreds. Instead, he'd be writing for the biggest possible audience. He'd be writing Hollywood blockbusters. After all, Shakespeare's plays were very much the mass culture of their time, and if you look at them, they share a lot in common with the best Hollywood blockbusters. Themes of war, family, power, love, betrayal, and romance and history. So I decided to set my novel in Hollywood. I thought it was the perfect setting to unlock the authorship debate and really get inside the hidden passions that underpin the story I wanted to tell. I suppose if the novel has an overarching theme, it's our relationship with great art, whether it's Star Wars or Shakespeare, and the impact which that relationship has on our lives. I think the novel will appeal to anyone who, like me, gets as much of a kick out of plays like Hamlet and Macbeth as they do out of the great Hollywood blockbusters like Back to the Future or The Empire Strikes Back. And I say that because the novel very much reflects the collision between supposedly high and low art that is at the heart of the premise. That's to say, it tackles this great literary, historical, artistic mystery, arguably the greatest there is, in an extremely accessible way, with plenty of humour, lots of interesting ideas about the future and technology, a host of characters who are very vivid, memorable, idiosyncratic and passionate, and an action-packed plot which never lets up and keeps you guessing until the very last page.